my dears, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Shannon. This back here, that's Bernard. He's my October co-host. It doesn't say much, but he's here. Anyway, today for the sort of book talk video, I wanted to talk about the things that scare us, or more specifically, scare me, I guess. I got a comment on a video a couple days ago, or yesterday, from a friend of mine here on YouTube. His channel's called The Psycho Gamers 15. I'll link his channel down below. If you like video game related content, you can definitely check him out. And he said, what would you say was the scariest thing you've read? I've read The Haunting of Hill House. That wasn't scary. I'm halfway through it, and it isn't scary at all. So after I read his comment, it got me to thinking about what are the books that have really scared me. And that sent me down a bit of an interesting memory journey and thinking about all of those things. And so I sat down last night to respond to his comment, and I thought, you know what, actually, I'm gonna film a video about it. So here we are. So thank you for that comment. It definitely got me thinking. So when I think about books that have scared me in my life, I immediately think of being a middle schooler, being 10, 11, 12 years old, and reading books from authors like R.L. Stine and Christopher Pike. Now, back when I was that age, I was really scared of scary content, whether that was books or movies. But a friend of mine in school, she used to read those books, and I used to watch her read them, and she loved them so much that eventually I got around to picking some up at the library. I used to go to the library all the time when I was a kid. I've just always been a very enthusiastic reader. So I go to the library for the first time with the intent of finding some scary books. I grab a couple R.L. Stine books, a couple Christopher Pike books, and I take them home. And I can remember in the night laying in bed in my bedroom, and I can feel it. I'm there when I think of this. I'm laying in my bed, I'm reading the books, and I'm so scared. Every part of my body is just terrified. And it's such a visceral experience that I can feel it. And I can feel the way that it would feel to glance at the door, to have to stop reading because my heart couldn't take it anymore. I was going to be too afraid, and putting the book down, and I put it face down. I couldn't even see the cover. I'd put the book on the floor face down, and I'd leave the light on, and I'd lay in bed, and I'd try to think about things that were different than what I was reading. Because the funny thing, at least for me, I don't know if this is for you guys as well, but the thing for me is when I'm reading something or watching something and it scares me, for some reason our brains, especially back then, like my brain would think that that exact thing was what I had to be afraid of in my own house or in my own neighborhood, and it would torment me. But then I got hooked to that feeling, the adrenaline rush of feeling so terrified. Because I guess the reason it becomes fun is, you know, logically, you are home, you are safe, you're tucked away in your own bed. There's no actual threat to you. So the fear that comes from enjoying that kind of content, whether you're reading it or watching it, is that you're not in any real danger. It's just perceived through your imagination. And I got hooked. And I remember the first Stephen King novel that I read was Cujo, which is about a rabid dog, and that scared the crap out of me. I was so scared of that dog. And during the parts when the mom and her son are trapped in the car as the dog is just terrorizing them, it would make me pull the blankets up around my eyeballs and just be in fear, even though that's something, you know, on a base level, a dog that's gone rabid is a fairly simple premise. Of course, if you've read the book, you know there's more to it than that, but At its base, that's a pretty simple premise. 1, 2, 3, and then I suppose as someone who loves horror content, it becomes something you chase as you become an adult and become harder to scare. You chase that visceral feeling that you had when you were a child. And it just becomes harder to find because you are so much harder to scare. So now, as someone in my late 30s, what scares me more are things that are more unnerving than straight out horror. So in some ways, things are more scary, but it's just not on that full body visceral level that you get when you're a child. Things that scare me now are like home invasion stories. Reading those scares me so much, watching those movies, because that feels like something that could be a very real threat. Also, stories about stalking, like the books based on the Joe Goldberg character that went on to inspire the TV show You, and one of the books is called the same, You. That kind of somebody immersing themselves in your life so that they can manipulate you just based on them seeing you one time and then putting themselves in situations to run into you and knowing everything about you when you don't even know their name. That's so scary. Losing control, whether through mental health issues or any other type of issues, which I think is what I find so scary about ghost stories and haunted house stories. Those are my favorite scary stories because there's something to me that's really terrifying about losing control of yourself and being at the mercy of something otherworldly or supernatural that has the ability to influence you in your decisions. That terrifies me. And also people being terrible to other people. I read books now that might not even be considered horror, but that just scare me and unnerve me because every day we turn on the news, especially in 2020, and we hear about terrible things happening to people. Terrible things being done by people to other people, and that scares me. So those type of things are what scares me now. But, of course, your question is about books. What books have really scared me? So here's my answer to that. The book that I read as an adult that had scenes that scared me the most and is traditional horror type content would be The Shining, which I guess makes sense because, again, it's a haunted house, it's a hotel, but a haunted house story that has a character losing control by being influenced by something otherworldly. That just scares me. Plus, just some of the scenes in there are very, very terrifying, and I thought that was a really well-written book. When you learn more about Stephen King and you learn of the mental state that he was in when he wrote that book and the addictions that he was soaked in, it just adds another layer of the mythology of the story to me. Other Stephen King works that really scare me, because I'm mentioning Stephen King because in the comments specifically it is mentioned. It didn't scare me. There was something about it that just did not scare me either. What really scares me are Stephen King's short stories, and he has a ton of short story collections. My two favorite are Everything's Eventual and Full Dark, No Stars. Everything's Eventual has the short story 1408 that went on to be turned into a movie starring John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson. And again, it's a haunted hotel. So clearly I have my niche and my favorites that I constantly veer towards. So if those things don't scare you, maybe take this with a grain of salt, but 1408 is also a very sad story. I like when my horror is mixed with grief, which is why the two Mike Flanagan shows, The Haunting of Hill House and The Haunting of Bly Manor, have hit me so hard. And again, speaking directly to the commenter here, I do want to mention, I know you said you read The Haunting of Hill House and you didn't find it scary, but I would suggest you watch the TV show. It's only very loosely based on Shirley Jackson's book. He takes it in a completely different direction. It's not about a group of people staying at a hotel to see if they can, a haunted house, to see if they can prove or disprove the existence of the supernatural. It's about a family that lives in the house for a brief period of time, and then the fallout from that and how it affected the rest of their lives is just great. And maybe you've already seen it, I don't know. So yes, Everything's Eventual, 1408. I love that. I love the sadness mixed with the horror. Full Dark, No Stars. I feel like there's so many great stories in there. 1922 is one. That one really got to me, and was made into a Netflix film, again by Mike Flanagan. This channel's turning into a Mike Flanagan fan account, but here we are. And there's another one, I think it's in Full Dark, No Stars, or it's in Everything's Eventual, and it's a story from the point of view of a body that's about to be autopsied on, like in a hospital after it's passed away. And within the story, you find out that his conscious, like, he still knows what's going on, and so he's very afraid of what's about to happen. And that one scared me. I guess that sticks with the loss of control theme, but here we are. So those are the ones. I would suggest Stephen King's short stories over his novels if you want a good scare. I feel like the time constraints, you know, a short story, you've got to get in there, pack the punch, and get out faster than if you were writing a full-length novel. And of course, Stephen King is known for writing very long novels. Some of them are just obscenely long. So the short stories, it's interesting to see that he works either in this extremely long format or the short stories. And to me, the short stories are much more impactful. They're much scarier because they get to the point, they stay to the point, and then they're over. So yeah, I'd suggest any of his short story collections, but those two in particular. So yeah, I would love to know in the comments down below, what scares you? Whether it's books or film. What are the themes? What are the stories that really scare you? Do you like the gore? Does that scare you? Are you like me? Do you like a more subtle scare about things that either could happen or just things that to you in particular set your teeth on edge? Because what scares us is as personal as what makes us happy or what makes us sad. And yeah, I'd be interested in hearing from all of you what scares you the most. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I do have, let me find here. I also do have here Lisa Jewell's brand new book. It just got released in North America on Tuesday, Invisible Girl. I've started reading it. I'm about this far in. So this was going to be this week's book talk, but then I got to thinking about the comment, and so I wanted to do a video on that. And so I'm gonna finish reading this. This will probably be up before next Friday because I just want to finish it and then get it up as soon as possible. So maybe even over the weekend the book talk on this will be up. But I can't wait to talk about this one. Lisa Jewell is one of those automatic buys for me when she puts out a new book. So yes, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys again real soon. Bye.